This is part 2 of what's new in Lightroom Classic version 15.4. In the first part of the video, we took a look at the great new updates to select subject, as well as the ability to detect and delete duplicate images in the catalog. This part of the video is being recorded separately so we can do it with HDR capability to better explore the implications of 16 versus 32-bit HDR coming out of Lightroom. Let's open up our image here in the Develop module. You can see it's already been processed with HDR support on. We see the HDR content in the histogram, and obviously the goal is to bring out a better looking sky. This image, for my purposes, is a fully edited image, but if I want to take it over to Photoshop, that's where the new capabilities come into play. So when I go up to Classic Preferences, go to External Editing, and look in the HDR section, what's new in this version of Lightroom is that the bit depth option is now available to us. In previous versions of Lightroom, this was grayed out. So we can choose whether we want to open up as a 32-bit image in Photoshop, which is the classic way of editing HDR, or as a 16-bit PQ image, which can unlock some tools that are not available in 32-bit mode, but there's some subtle trade-offs between these. So one's not necessarily better than the other. It depends what you're doing. And we want to explore here, which option should you choose in Lightroom to get the best results out of Photoshop. Let's start with 32 bits to send this over to Photoshop. So I'm going to close this, right-click, choose Edit In, and when I go open as a smart object in Photoshop, or just normally in Photoshop, it's now going to send over my image as a 32-bit HDR. You can see we see 32 bits here. And if you look at the color space, it's a linear space. 32 bits in Photoshop is always linear. And what that means is you get the best color mixing possible. This is going to be the best color results, something you'll see in a moment. However, there are some limitations to 32-bit space. For example, when you go to the blend modes, we don't have options like overlay and soft light in 32-bit mode. There are ways to work around that, and we'll cover that a little bit later, but I just want to acknowledge the limitation. Additionally, if we go up to the filter menu, we don't have things like adaptive wide angle, liquify, Nik Color Effects Pro is not available. If we go to the edit menu, we don't have sky replacement or generative and content aware fill. There are some good workarounds for these things as well, which we'll get to, but I just want to press the point that 32-bit mode, as much as Adobe has improved it in the recent releases, still has some gaps on classic functionality. So there are some ways in which 32-bit mode is a bit limiting. So for comparison, let's go back to Lightroom. Let's go change our preferences. And this time we'll set it to open up as a 16-bit HDR, and we'll take a look at the other approach. So close this, I'm going to right click, go to Edit In, and open as a smart object. This time I'm getting the same image open up with HDR support, but it's a 16-bit image using the PQ space. It's not linear. So at first glance, the two versions of this image look quite similar. There is a perfect match for the 32-bit. The PQ result, if you look closely here, is a bit different in some of the detail. Not a huge difference, and it's not quite real. It's actually an artifact of the preview. If we zoom into 100% on both of these, and now compare between them, you'll see that there really is no difference. So one of the differences here, right off the bat, even though it's effectively the same image either way to start, the preview at less than 100% is a little bit less accurate for the 16-bit PQ. However, now we have all of our blend modes, and we have all our filters, and we have things like, well, we would have generative fill if it wasn't a smart object, and we have things like sky replacement. So in 16-bit mode, we get back some of these missing tools. So that sounds like that would be pretty attractive, but it's not quite the full story. There are some other limitations. For example, when I'm working with my paint colors, in the PQ space, I don't really know what an HDR color is. Like when I pick the brightness of this color, what value of B is in the SDR or HDR range? I'm kind of blind to that. Whereas when I'm in a 32-bit image and I go pick my color, I'm explicitly choosing how many stops into the HDR range I want. So it's very, very clear what I'm getting. Same thing with numeric readouts. If we look at the info panel, when I move over the HDR range here, you see values like red being around 6 to 7 here in the sky, whereas when we look at the PQ image, everything's going to be between 0 and 1. So you would have to mentally know that somewhere around 0.5 is where the differences occur. So there's some limitations of the basic tools, but then some things get a little bit more challenging. For example, if I go and open up a new photo filter, the result that I get here for my 32-bit image looks quite nice. I think that does a nice job of enhancing the sky there, and I might just mask it to control it more to the sky and less in the foreground, but I like that result. when I go to my 16-bit PQ, we're going to see a very different result. Now when I go to photo filter, that is not a nice result. There's nothing that I think is acceptable about that result. So I'm not suggesting that all the tools are broken in 16-bit for editing, but you can clearly see there are some cases where 16-bit produces an inferior result compared to what you get in 32. But on the flip side, the 16-bit result actually has access to some tools like blend modes you may not see in 32-bit Photoshop. So first, if you want to get access to these tools in 32-bit here, there's some workarounds. For example, if I go to Lemenzia Basics, I can use the sky replacement and the fill and still work with my 32-bit image. Let's say, for example, I want to go and get rid of this rock. Maybe I kind of select something like this. I go fill, generative fill, and I'll still be able to work here. It's using a workaround temporarily in the 16-bit space to create this, and it'll copy it back once I'm happy. So I can choose which version of a fill I want in this working environment and then send those pixels back to my 32-bit image. And I think that looks good, so I'll just say done, copy back to original, and here we go. I'm in my 32-bit image, and I just did generative fill. Same thing if I want to do things like, I go make a selection, but I'd have the ability to do, for example, content-aware fill, sky replacement. I have these options in this space through Lemenzia Basics. Or if I want access to these blend modes, well, I don't have an equivalent in HDR, but Lemenzia's dodge capabilities will still work in a 32-bit image using an alternative approach, something I cover in more depth in my dodge and burning master course. And if that's not enough, we can always take this work that we've done in the 32-bit space, preserve it, and move into the 16-bit space by, in Lumenzia, clicking on selective color will automatically convert the document, or a more explicit option in WebSharp Pro, go to the top right flyout menu, convert from 32 to 16-bit HDR. It'll wrap this in a smart object, perfectly preserves that, but now this is also a 16-bit HDR. So I can get all that great 32-bit editing and get access to the 16-bit tools, such as those blend modes and other options. So I get the best of both worlds, but you're going to have to go through WebSharp Pro Lemenzia to get from 32 into this space. Let's go undo back to the original opening state here on this image and just take a further look at the differences between the 32 and the 16-bit here. So I'm going to go and undo this, and I want to show why these are a bit different. If I go to this test image here, what I have created is I've got a black background with a solid green stripe, and then on top of it, multiple different red stripes with a 25% opacity on the first one. And then the next one is at 50, 75, and then a full 100% here. So this is the blending you would get in 32-bit mode, and it is the ideal blending. When I add red to the green, I'm moving towards a yellowish result, and it's generally speaking not getting darker. There's nothing kind of corrupted here. I can take these layers, and let's just grab this whole result here, copy it, and when I paste it into a 32-bit document, I am changing, a little bit which version of Rec 2020 I'm in, but they're both linear, and the result is going to be that same expected pairing here, that everything looks good. But if I go to my PQ space, when I paste here, I'm going to be pasting into this PQ space, and the interpretation is quite different. Look at this here. Here's the original. This matches the source, and this does not because it's different matching. And what I want to point out here, if we zoom into this a bit, let's go to 100% on both of these. As we add red in the linear space here, we're just getting the expected movement towards yellow, whereas in the PQ space, what we see is we get this super dark result here. Like, we don't even see the red, but it's making green dark. That's pretty strange. And then we're getting something where it's a little bit brighter, but darker than it should be. And then as we get to the point where the red is pretty strong, it's just a red result. There's no yellow there. So you see this color mixing between the two is very different. And this is the ideal mixing you would get with a linear space, whereas in the PQ space, you get different color mixing, different results for opacity, and in many ways it's kind of inferior. One possible solution to this would be if we go to Edit, Color Settings in Photoshop, we have this option to actually force all editing to be done with a particular gamma, and gamma 1, it means linear. So when I turn this on, now my PQ document looks correct. The problem with this option is that it doesn't stick with your document. It's just a global setting for Photoshop, which means that this is not safe to send to other computers. So as much as I think this would be a great option, it would only work if it was attached to this image and not a global Photoshop setting. So I would not use this, but this does show the result you could get. And it'd be great if Photoshop would allow that at the document level, but it doesn't. So the best solution really remains that what you should do is send your images ideally over to Photoshop as 32-bit, do the work you need to do in the 32-bit space for accurate transformations, and then when you need to, go and convert it into a 16-bit document, and you'll be able to continue working with any tools that are missing. Go and grab things like Nik Color Efex Pro and whatever you might need. Now to learn more about HDR, click to this next video.